Good afternoon, Roger here. I think Brian has given a great presentation, and I think there's kind of testament, right, to the power of content, right? He's showing all these great videos, great content, and that's helping to propel companies, right? You're getting to know companies that you might have otherwise not heard about. And increasingly, I see a lot of companies, because I work with brands, and they're using content as a key part of the marketing strategy. I'm not going to talk about myself, but I just want to give a bit of background on how I became kind of a senior advisor to Crowdsourcing Week and why am I speaking here. Back in the mid-90s, I was fortunate to work for SoftBank, giant internet company. They invested in Yahoo, E-Trade. And through SoftBank, I ended up working with companies like ZDNet, CNET. SoftBank had an interesting mantra for all the companies, right? It says that, remember this back in the mid-90s, the internet will change the way we live, work, and play. And I think indeed it has, in more ways than I have imagined. And one of the phenomenon that he has given rise to is crowdsourcing. Right? The fact that all of you are here, I don't think I need to explain about the power of crowdsourcing. And I think to some extent that's how Epi found me 2 years ago. We connected on LinkedIn, and he spoke a little bit about his vision to bring Crowdsourcing Week to Asia. I agreed to be his advisor, in part because I'm a firm believer of crowdsourcing. I have a number of businesses that I'm involved in, but I spend 120% of my time at Closet, a fashion social network that truly is built upon crowdsourcing. I think we've done something right, so we're one of the few companies in Singapore that has raised a Series B round. So today, I'm not going to talk about techniques, so on and so forth, but really to share a little bit of how Closet was built, what are some of the best practices that I've tried to apply to it, and share it with you, right? Now, at every presentation, I always answer this question, right? What is this old guy, doing in the fashion business? I'll tell you the story, a short one. Prior to starting the business, I was traveling tremendously, right? 2009, I was traveling 275 days that year. I was never home. So when I'm home, I try to be a good husband. I come home, I don't work, I spend time with my wife. And every time I'm with her, her phone rings. And she's like, I'm sorry, hubby's back. And I realized that I'm actually disrupting her life, by her schedule. So I try to be a good husband, so I join her activities, right? We wake up early in the morning, drive the kids to school, 6 o'clock. We go to the stadium. We run with our friends. So sometimes it's 1, sometimes it's 2, sometimes it's 4. And after we run, 7 o'clock, we go for breakfast. Singapore have these little hawker centers, coffee, tea. I'm sitting there, listening to the conversations. So over time, I got accepted as one of the girls, right? And it was interesting, right? Eavesdropping under these conversations. So my wife is a beauty junkie, right? She's a beauty junkie. And she's not just buying cosmetics, but she understands the science of cosmetics, right? SK2, how Pitera is, that magic liquid that rejuvenates your face. Someone is, and she's such an authority that she actually influences the rest of her group, right? In the type of cosmetic to use, the processes that you apply, the toner, so on, And I'm listening, and then someone is an expert in shopping. This is where you go and shop in Hong Kong, this is where you shop in Bangkok. And the typical question that I see them asking is like, when someone comes back from a shopping trip, first question, what did you buy, right? I know you know the second question. Where, right? Third question, how much, right? Last question, can I see your bag? Can I see your clothes? It never happens, right? They're so busy. So I'm listening to all this, and it's like, how interesting, right? If I can build a platform where I can take all this collective knowledge, where to buy, where to shop, beauty tips, show what you have bought without having even to get, bring them to your house. So that was the beginning, right? That was the beginning of the idea that I had to build Closet, right? So I think this is how it came about. So I'll share with you a little bit about at Closet what we do. So as you can see here, in building a business, I'm also looking at first I need a platform, right? Singapore is small. How do we create something that transient? Some of the cultural, geographical barriers that I have across the region. Well, try to make it visual, right? I always say that the picture of a Chanel bag is a Chanel bag in any language, right? So I think those are some of the thoughts that went behind the building of Closet. And this is interesting because I came from CNET, ZDNet. Right? We have editors. Right? At ZDNet, I have editors writing about routers, switches, enterprise software. At CNET, I have people writing about games, about digital photography. But I saw the rise of the internet has given power to the crowd to create compelling content. Content that they are so deep, so specific that they even surpass that of any editors that I can hire. So this is where, in my model, I've decided that I need to use crowd-generated content. Right? So this is some of the these were some of the basic parameters that we set in building businesses. But of course, we had a lot of challenges, right? So the company is 3.5 years. When we first started, how do we get the crowd to contribute? I'm often asked, how do you control the content? You can't, right? You can't. Right? This is social media. You can't say your content is not nice, I take you down. Your content is not relevant, it's abusive, offensive, I can't. But if you have a picture of yourself and it's not nice, too bad, right? You can hide it, but you can't take it down, right? So I think you can curate, right? So these are just some of the thought process behind that. As I mentioned, I just want to talk a little bit about why I feel content is going to be key, right? A lot of companies don't use content marketing because, as Brian has shown, it's not easy to produce content. It's expensive to produce content. But content has to be a key part of your entire marketing puzzle. Why? Content improves your SEO, right? Google loves relevant, quality content, period, right? So I think if you have content on your site, it helps you a lot with your searchability of the website. Content improves engagement and conversion. That is proven. I'll show you a case study that I've done 2 years ago. And recently I came across an article that says that video, actually today, improves online transaction manifold, right? Someone watching a video is more likely to buy a product that he or she has watched versus just clicking onto a picture of a product. So video is going to be the next big thing too. Content is engaging, right? Today, a lot of brands are looking at what they call content co-creation with the crowd, right? Because the consumers are much smarter today, right? What brand is telling you? Question mark, right? An ad? Question mark. Content, they consume. Content fits your social media strategy. Very simple. I mean, Brian has proven that. You have good content, people will share that, right? How many times have you shared a quote of the day, a funny picture, a beauty tip, shopping find? I think content generates a lot of social sharing. So I think it's going to be a key part of your social media strategy. And last but not least, good quality content makes your company, makes you a thought leader, right? As what Brian has done, sharing all this great content that Airbnb has produced, WestJet has produced. I think that demonstrates the power of content marketing. I've chosen to share a slide from Content Marketing Institute. This is a survey done this year in North America about the number of B2B companies that is using content marketing. I see that is already happening. There's already a stated trend. I think it's coming to Asia. I think a lot of companies here are still not using content to its fullest, content marketing to its fullest. I think there's a lot of opportunities out there. This is a survey that they've also done about companies that they perceive they are good in content marketing and those that think that the company are not good. So if you look on the left-hand side, the most effective companies have a documented content strategy. You should, right? Content is not about just waking up one day and say, let's do a video or let's do a white paper. I think it has to be structured, right? You have to understand your audience, what kind of message are you sending out in the content. So you need to have a content strategy, documented. Few companies has people who understands content, so you really need to assign someone who understands the crowd. What type of content would you want to create? I do at my company. I do have people who looks after content, who curates, who helps to strategize what type of content that I want to encourage on Closet, what's going to be trending, what's going to be popular, what are people going to be searching for. Number of tactics used. This is obviously, there are many ways of creating content, right? So you could be a white paper, it could be a game, it could be a blog, it could be an advertorial. So what kind of form, what kind of tactics do you want to use in your content? So the more you have, the more relevance that you have, the better. The type of social media platforms that is right for your content, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I don't think all social platforms are relevant to you, so choose the best ones that make sense for you. Budget, you still need to spend some money on content. So I think you need to allocate your budget. And last but not least, you can see that producing content is expensive, it's challenging. So I'd like to share some of the ideas that we have deployed at Closet. Birds of a feather flocks together. So really it's about creating a platform that people can connect. So when we first conceptualized Closet, it could be fashion, but why did we exclude guys? We felt that women wanted a community where they can share openly. So those were some of the thoughts process that we have put together, and this is where, in the case of Closet, is really a platform, visual platform where women can come and share. We listen, we watch, we feedback. We find out what people like to do, we encourage it. This is where we give ideas, right? So what are the content that our crowd is looking for, right? We encourage the content creators on our side. Feedback. We have, if you look at the typical content, the ratio of content creators versus those who consume content, typically it's like 10 to 1, right? 1% or 10% will be creating content, 90% will be consuming content. So you need to reward, right? You need to recognize that the 10% who are contributing content, encourage them, reward them, and let them know that you appreciate that what they are actually doing for you. Now, it's also important that content has to be, why would I find your content interesting? Content has to be compelling, entertaining. It can be a utility. So in the case of Closet, for example, if you talk about utility, some of the things that we have done is we have done some crowdsourced curation of the best deals, right? The best promotions from 5,000 brands across the world. We have what's happening, what are the sale, where can you find the sale? We get users to encourage them to post beauty tips. So these are really relevant content that we encourage to do. Some of the stuff that we find is popular is really the top 10s, how-tos. Videos is getting more and more popular. If you look at the millennium generation, my kids, they don't read newspaper anymore, right? So they're very used to consuming content, video content. So even for us, some of the things that I'm doing is really about the videos. We have videos about explainer videos, about how to do things. Rather than reading about how to do things, you watch a video about how to do things. So I think video content is increasingly becoming much more common. And last but not least, when you're doing crowdsourced content or crowdsourced curation, moderation is very, 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 very important, right? So as an example, when we first started, we are often asked, why is that the content on Closet looks so nice? It didn't start out that way, right? So my analogy is always, when you go to Disneyland, right? It's pristine, it's clean. You're conscious, right? Even the sweet wrappers you're putting into your pocket, because the place is clean, right? Versus if I'm in China in the early days of China, right, things are littered, so you just have to say, okay, it's okay, I'll just throw this thing here. So I think once you have set the environment, right, create the right environment. So when we first started, we hired a team of community managers. We post, we upload things that we showcase, right? So I think that sets an example for the rest of our community to share accordingly. I think is using all these moderators to shape, right, the look, the feel, the type of content that you want, encourage those that you like and discourage those that you don't, right? So I think these are some of the basic things that you could look at. We do, rarely do we see offensive community people on our site, but if they do, take it down, right? I think you just have to nip trouble in the bud. I'm going to talk a lot about tips, tricks. I'll just share with you a little bit about what we have done at Closet. Now, so if you see over here on the left side, there's a user generated photo from closet.co. That's my parent site. So in the middle, there's a site from our localized version in Indonesia. And Oshare is a site, is a joint venture site that Closet has with Rakuten in Taiwan. Now you can see that this is something that we have recently introduced, right? Selfie has been the in thing for the last, 12 months, 18 months. So we introduced this into Closet very recently, although they were already posting the look of the days, but I would say over the last 6 months, we see a lot of selfies, right? So I think this is where we encourage, hey, do post your selfies. We work with like brands, camera brands, phone brands to say, post your selfies, right? And you can see that, yes, there are similarities, and although these come from different countries, the content can be shareable. So in the case of Indonesia, we had like a hijab of the day, right? So we do a bit of customization. They post a hijab of the day. It's equally interesting to users in Singapore and also in Taiwan. We encourage our members to share the fashion finds, the buys, like every woman here is, it's like a food find, right? So this is the best buy from Thailand, this is the best buy from Singapore, this is the best buy from Chatuchak, this is the best buy from Bugis Junction, from Shanghai, a tailor that I found. So this is a place where we invite our members to share, right? The fashion finds and buys. And they love to do that. This is really another place to express themselves, to express that and to have people appreciate that, wow, that was really interesting, right? You see conversations where I say, oh, that was fantastic, right? The tailor that you have recommended in Shanghai, I just went there, came back, so on and so forth, right? So this, again, creating the right type of platform where people are happy to share. Beauty tips, I already mentioned that. Now, I think when you look at selecting a platform and selecting the type of content to curate, you have to give it some thought, right? So I'll give you an example of what Closet is not. We are not about beauty reviews. Why? Because beauty reviews tend to be very text-based. So in the case of Closet, because we are very visual, we are very image, we are very video-driven, we want to focus on areas where we have we provide a compelling difference, right, versus other content sites. So examples of these would be things that is hard to describe in forums. So examples would be nails, right? We have a lot of ladies posting nails. How do you do stenciling on the nails? How do you make this hairdo? How do you do this smoky eyes? Bow lips. So these are exactly the type of beauty tips, right? And where visually is easy for people to consume the content versus other platforms. So you have to create a difference, right, in the way you present your content. I'd like to share with you some case studies. I always use this. We did this about 2 years ago with ASOS. I think most girls will know ASOS, one of a very popular online shopping based in UK. Their claim to fame is really free shipping, right? That's what my wife said, hey, shipping is free, so let's buy. That's a good reason. Now, this simple content curation resulted in a lot of different benefits, right, for us and for the brand. It was a very simple exercise. We just asked our members, just goes to the, we have ASOS store on Closet itself. I say, just go to the ASOS store, curate your 5 favorite items under $50. Right, very simple. And then we didn't give away like a big prize, right? I think we gave away 3 $50 vouchers. So obviously those who participate was like, they like to do that. So very simple, just go to the site, just browse the site, curate 5 items under $50, right? We had thousands and thousands of entries. And the top entries, most of the entries were more than 5 items, right? So these are the top 5, 56, 62, 62, 68, 121 items. 121 items, right? You need to just curate 5, right? So this shows that the user was so engaged. Now, what is the outcome that I got from this particular exercise? For the brand, they were able to use our platform to crowdsource insights, right? You know exactly, what people are curating, particularly people in Asia, right? Because this site is from US, they're catering to a global audience. They were able to get insights from here. What do Asian community likes about ASOS? Now here, these 5 women, they are the best advocates for ASOS. Why don't you invite them to be the brand ambassador for ASOS in this part of the world, right? So this is again a way to crowdsource your influencers and the brand ambassadors. Now, what is interesting is these were the curators, right? But because a lot of the users were looking at the curation, 82 collection, thousands of items, we didn't ask any of them to buy, right? We ended up with 121 transactions. So you can see that the engagement actually results in conversions, right? So this is a formula that we've used for many, many stores that we have launched on Closet, and it has always worked. Now, another thing that we have done was fashion find campaign. We have an app, although you don't really need an app, but basically, in this case, you can see that we've ran a campaign where we ask users, if you are traveling, you're in Singapore, you come across some fashion find, just take a photo, upload. We have a simple description of, wow, there's, this store sells great shoes, great beauty products, so on and so forth. We did this over 3 months, January, December, November. So this created very compelling content for anyone, right, who comes in and you can see, whether find this, whether buy that. I think this example has been, this model has been replicated a number of times. Currently, I'm working on 2 projects just to share with you. So one is with a major credit card in Singapore. It's a ladies' card. And what do they want to do with Closet? They want us to curate the best finds in this part of the world. Not just in Singapore, right? Across the region, right? So we have very interesting things that we're doing for a brand like that. So they're coming to Closet and say, can I use a platform to curate finds that I can invite, right, our members, our credit card holders to come and make purchases. Another project that I'm working on is a US company. They represent about 140 of the top fashion retailers in the US. It's a very interesting project because she was here in Singapore attending an event, and she was shopping at Marina Bay Sands, and she was shocked, right? She went to Brooks Brothers, said, Roger, Brooks Brothers here? The prices are 85% higher than what you could buy at a retail store in the US. Now, of course, the brands here is not going to like that, right? But the truth of the matter is, then she said, wow, wouldn't it be interesting if you can get your crowd to go out and make comparison, right, between the prices that they can get in the store versus the prices of all their merchants in the US and make them available on Closet, right? Extremely interesting program, right? So I think this is an example of how you can really make use of crowdsource, create content that can actually result in conversion, right? So it's an interesting project that we actually working on right now. Last but not least, this is a project that we just completed about 2 days ago. So Fashion Step Out is an event that took place, I think it was last Saturday, just 2 days ago. So they closed Orchard Road. The event is actually organized by the Orchard Road Business Association. They're the mall owners, so we are the partner for this event. And in this instance, it was a very simple hashtag, people uploading onto a microsite that we've created where we actually pull in all the content. So you can see that pre-event and post-event, and even during the event, we were getting our community members as well as, they were marketing to the public at large to post photos of the event. So we had a live feed that was going on all the time. And this is actually providing very, very compelling content, right, to our audience. And you can see over here, these are really some of the photos that have been posted. So you actually get the pulse of the event that's happening. We do this a lot with brands. So I've created a platform. So we are partnering with KL Fashion Week, Philippines Fashion Week, Jakarta Fashion Week, so on and so forth. So we are providing this platform to brands to use our platform to create content to market their events as well. Okay, that's it, right? So I want to end on a lighter note, right? So my friends call me Mel Gibson. They think I know what woman wants. So a tip for guys, I always ask, say, Roger, you always work with women, right? So do you have any tip? I say, yes, I say the secret. What's the secret to having a really good relationship with your partner and your wife? I say, yeah, it's very simple, right? Just remember this, right? Every time you're wrong, just say sorry, okay? And every time she's wrong, just keep your mouth shut. Last one. I have this inflated ego, right? You think you know what woman wants, and yeah, I've been married 25 years. I'm entitled to it, until recently. So I celebrated my 25th anniversary, wedding anniversary, very recently. Took my wife out for dinner, nice place. Started this conversation, which I shouldn't have. So we are reminiscing about old times, right? Saying, I know we got married 25 years ago. I was young. I had no money in the bank, no car. I was living with my parents, right? But I said, well, we got married. At least I was sleeping with a hot chick, So I said, okay, that's cool, right? So I said, 25 years forward, I work hard. I have some money in the bank. I drive a nice car. I have a beautiful home. But I'm sleeping with a 50-year-old woman. Dicey, right? So I told her, you know what? You're not holding up your end of the bargain. And that's the moment when I realized that it's a conversation that I shouldn't have started, right? So I looked at her and she contemplated, and I was surprised by what she said, right? You know what? I think you're right. I think it's okay for you to go out and get a hot 25-year-old chick. I said, really? I said, sure. But if you do, I'll guarantee you that you have no money in the bank, you have no car, and you go back to living with your parents. Thank you.